Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the Como Reacts channel. Today we're watching a video called 8 Luckiest People Who Survived the Impossible. This video is from Echoes. It will be in the description down below. Don't forget to go check that out. But anyway, let's get into it. Alright, so this video was sent in by Stump. He's one of my mods. Yeah, I'm excited. So let's get into it.
The plane with Vesna on board exploded at an altitude of 10,000 meters. 27 people on board lost their lives. Vesna was trapped by debris while falling, counting the last seconds of her life. In this video, I'll tell you about 8 accidents where the victims managed to trick death itself.
As always, viewer discretion is advised.
By the way, if
Viewer discretion is advised. From me too.
Earth spun just a tad faster, air disasters would skyrocket, but the world around would look exceptionally beautiful. These thoughts were sparked by the sponsor of this video, Mova Globes. These globes spin without batteries, tangled wires, or
Does Bro care that nobody gives a shit about his sponsor? Like, you couldn't have put this at the end so I didn't have to watch it first? Moron.
catastrophic consequences for airplanes. They're powered by light. It's a groundbreaking technology using hidden magnets. And
It's a groundbreaking technology using hidden magnets.
it looks truly magical. Over 40 different designs are available on movaglobes.com. Apart from our planet, you can choose from famous artworks and various space objects. The latest globes are crafted
Bro, how long is your ad? Hurry up. It's already been a minute.
based on NASA graphics. And with promo code ECHOES, you'll get 10% off your order. So, click the link in the description. Meanwhile, let me tell you about incredible rescue cases from seemingly hopeless situations.
Thank God.
The French Alps, late April 2022. The professional skiing team Les Pautos headed to Meige Mountain. But they didn't choose well-equipped slopes. They opted for the extreme terrain near the La Grave resort. The total
Like any normal person would. I would want to do that. Why would I want to go down some wimpy hill?
vertical drop there is up to 2,300 meters. There are several dangerous descent routes with nearly vertical sections, forested areas, rocks and glacier crevices. And one of those crevices was encountered by a 36-year-old skier from Les Pautos. For some reason, he decided to ascend the slope earlier than the rest of the team and make a solo descent.
His skis look a little small for his feet. Are we sure those are gonna fit you, buddy? Yeah, that's probably why you wrecked your skis, so.
However, as he sped down the slope, he saw a spot where the snow had collapsed into a small pit ahead. He tried to swerve to avoid it, but it was too late. The snow on the slope shifted, knocking him off his feet, and within seconds, he found himself in open space, plummeting into a deep, icy crevice. He slid deeper into the crevice until his skis got stuck.
Why did he decide to use the word crevice? Because that makes me think of something else. Why couldn't he have just said pit? Like, crevice? Really?
Miraculously stopping his fall. He was 15 meters deep in a narrow ice fissure, at risk of falling even deeper at any moment. And there was no one to help him. The rest of Les Pautos hadn't even reached the summit yet. For over 20 minutes, the skier clung to the icy walls with ice axes and crampons, trying to save himself. Miraculously, he wasn't in.
With ice axes and what? Did he say tampons?
Ice axes and crampons,
Ah, crampons. All right, got it.
trying to save himself. Miraculously, he wasn't injured, and his teammates eventually found and rescued him. Glacier crevices can be as deep as 45 meters, and there might be no visible signs of such a chasm on the surface.
Chasm. Really. It's called chasm. I thought you knew English. Chasm. Really. It's chasm. Bro doesn't even know how to read his own script. That's very sad. All right, like, learn how to read your script, buddy.
The fact that a member of the French team survived and made it out unscathed after such a shocking fall is incredible luck. While you can expect potential danger from extreme skiing, the incident involving a resident of Gonzales Coton was completely unexpected.
Also, I speak Spanish. Buenos Aires just means good air. The people that came up with the name are some of the most uncreative people you can ever imagine, but it is what it is, so.
At the end of March 2022, a woman named Candela was waiting for a train when she suddenly felt herself lose.
Also, candela in Spanish is candle. Why did your parents name you Candle? That is weird. What are they going to do? Light you on fire? I can't. I shouldn't go there. Shouldn't go there.
Losing consciousness. What happened next was a nightmare. She couldn't keep her balance and fell, her head landing right between two moving train cars. Her body then turned parallel to the platform and slipped into a narrow gap. The onlookers at the subway station were horrified. They believed they had witnessed the tragic death of a young woman. But when the train stopped and the passengers rushed to find Candela under the carriages, they unexpectedly pulled her out alive. She regained consciousness and seemed to move quite confidently. When Candela was taken to the hospital, it turned out she had only minor scratches. She didn't remember the horrific incident. She felt herself blacking out, tried to warn the person next to her, and came to as one of those who managed to cheat death. Unfortunately, not everyone is so lucky. One day in March 2023, workers at a candy factory in West Reading, Pennsylvania, smelled gas amidst the aroma of chocolate. They reported it to their supervisor, but
Somebody's been eating too much chocolate and then letting it out. If they're smelling gas, like straight up.
he said only higher-ups could declare an evacuation. So everyone went back to work. Less than 30 minutes later, there was an explosion. Tons of debris, smoke, and flames shot into the air, all that was left of one of the factory buildings. The blast was so powerful that a neighboring building shifted by
You know what else has a powerful blast?
120 centimeters. The destruction damaged nearby gas lines, fueling the fire even more. Just seconds before the explosion, factory worker Patricia Borres was going down the stairs. Suddenly,
Bro needs to work on his Spanish. All right, let me pronounce this name for you properly.
explosion. Factory worker
Patricia Borges. Okay? Borges. Bro, learn how to spell. The G makes an H sound in Spanish. It's Borges. Patricia Borges. Okay? It's not hard.
Patricia Borres was going down the stairs. Suddenly, everything shook and she lost her footing. She noticed her arm was on fire just before the floor crumbled like a toy, and Patricia fell into a vat of molten chocolate in the basement. The chocolate softened her fall and extinguished the fire, saving her life. Meanwhile, injured workers lay around the destroyed factory, lucky to have escaped the rubble. When rescuers arrived, Patricia heard their voices and cried out for help. Still, hours passed and no one came to her rescue. Bodies were being pulled from the wreckage. Initially, 2 deaths were reported, but it was later revealed that 7 people had lost their lives in the explosion. The next day, rescue dogs signaled that a human body was nearby. However, no one expected what happened next. The brief silence was broken by a muffled cry from beneath the rubble. An exhausted Patricia regained consciousness as the vat she was stuck in started filling with water from the firefighters' hoses. After surviving the explosion, the fire, and half a day under the debris, she was about to drown. Luckily, she was saved just in time. Doctors found bruises, burns, a broken collarbone, and fractures in both heels. Despite everything, Patricia survived against all odds. Phineas Gage, on the other hand, had no chance
Another terrible name pronunciation. It's Phineas Gag. Get it right. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
of surviving. He should have passed away, but instead, he made history with the shocking injury he sustained. The story happened in 1848, yet scientists worldwide still study it today. On September 13th, 25-year-old construction worker Phineas was laying railroad tracks in Cavendish, Vermont. He was tamping down explosives into drilled rock holes with a special metal rod. During one of the setups, something went wrong. The explosives detonated prematurely, and the tamping iron rod was driven through Gage's head. This 6-kilogram rod, over 3 centimeters in diameter and 110 centimeters long, went through his left cheek, behind his eye, pierced his brain, and exited his skull.
I wish they'd tell us where it pierced his brain at, because I'm really curious if it went through his frontal cortex or if it went through like the main section or the rear cortex. I'm kind of curious because I'm wondering if he like lost any sort of like mobility or something after. I wonder if we'll talk about it though.
However, like in a horror movie, Gage stood up and started talking to his coworkers. They were shocked by the sight, but quickly rushed him to the hospital. There, he horrified the townspeople by chatting with them, despite the hole in his head. He greeted the doctor with, "Here's business enough for you." A few days later, Gage developed a brain infection, and his slim chances of survival dropped to 0. Still, to the amazement of even modern specialists, he recovered, losing his left eye, yet remaining fully functional.
So my guess is it went through his rear cortex then if he's losing his eye. And the reason I say that is because your rear cortex back here is the one that controls more of your vision and stuff like that. Um, and if it went through, if it, or it could have gone through his brain and hit his, I forget what it's called, but the connector for the eyeball. Because your eyeball, if you've ever seen an eyeball, it has like a little, it basically like looks like a wire that's connected to it. So I wonder if that's what was hit or if it actually went through like his rear. It sounds like if it was at this angle, it would have gone through his rear cortex. And that's why he lost his eye, but I don't know.
However, his personality changed drastically. The once polite Phineas became rude, impolite, and brash. Nevertheless, he lived another 12 years, and his case spurred the development of the now critical field of neurology. The rod and his skull are still preserved in a museum. Other heroes in this video managed to etch their names in history while still alive. On March 12, 2006, over a dozen tornadoes formed above the Ozark Plateau in Missouri. Residents were urged to take shelter, but 19-year-old Matt Suter, his grandmother, and his uncle continued watching TV in their mobile home. Meanwhile, one of the tornadoes accelerated to 217 kilometers per hour, capable of causing considerable damage. When the tornado approached the Suters' trailer, they had no chance. Matt heard a wild roar, like 10 jet fighters coming at them. Then, the tornado came into view, bombarding their mobile home with debris picked up along the way. The absolute nightmare began seconds later. The powerful force ripped the trailer door off, tore away the roof, and then demolished the home entirely. The vortex sucked up the trailer's debris and belongings, and suddenly, it pulled in Matt. He screamed, felt a blow, and everything went dark. The tornado's debris pile buried Matt's grandmother and uncle, but they survived with minor injuries. They saw Matt get sucked into the vortex, so fearing the worst, they went searching for his body. Meanwhile, Matt Suter regained consciousness in the middle of a field, disoriented but unharmed. The only injury he sustained was a bump on the head from a lamp in the trailer. Running to his friend's house for help, Matt didn't yet know that his relatives had survived and that he had set a world record. It turned out that Suter entered the Guinness Book of World Records as the person thrown the farthest by a tornado and survived.
That would be a really L record to hold, in my opinion, in the sense of like, are people trying to get this world record? Are they being like, oh, I'm gonna go to Tornado Alley and I'm gonna get sucked up by a tornado and see if I can fly the farthest, like Superman? I don't know.
Matt still holds the record at 398 meters. Getting caught in the heart of a tornado and living to tell the tale is nothing short of a miracle. In 1925, the deadliest tornado year in U.S. history, tornadoes claimed the lives of 794 people. So, Matt Suter definitely fooled death itself. 31-year-old Casey Wagner, on the other hand, tricked death twice. At the end of October 2013, he attended a popular off-road race in St. Joe, Texas. However, the event was interrupted by a severe thunderstorm, and Casey took shelter under a small tree. Suddenly, the very thing his mother had warned him about since childhood happened. Casey saw sparks flying from the tree trunk. Then, a powerful flash blinded him, and an unseen force knocked him to the ground. He realized he had been struck by lightning, yet
I don't fully think he was struck by lightning. Okay. So if you understand at all how lightning works, there's a charge in the air and a charge in the ground. And I don't know if it's a positive on top or negative positive on bottom and negative on top. But what happens is when we have lightning, it's the exchange of the positive to the negative energy. If he saw a really light flash, then the worst thing that probably happened is it probably struck lightning near him. um, I don't think that he would have gotten struck by lightning by being next to a tree, because if you think about it, a tree is actually an insulator. Wood isn't conductive at all. So if the tree is sparking, that means that it's getting an electrical charge, probably from the ground, in order to try to fix the imbalance in the negative and positive. And the whatever's coming up from the ground is a conductor, meaning it's touching the tree. So I don't actually think he was struck by lightning, but oh well.
Before he hit the ground, a second bolt struck him. Wagner felt the electricity surge through him, and it felt like his thumb was being ripped off. He was convinced.
There again, you would feel that if the charge was near you. I've had lightning strike within 10 feet of me before, and you do feel like an electronic pulse. Like, it does make your body kind of tingle. Like, when you shock yourself with like static electricity, it's like that, but 10 times worse. So if it struck close to him, like say, 5 feet away or something, this exact thing would still happen. I don't actually think that he was struck by lightning.
He was dying and cried out for help with his last ounce of strength. A nurse who was on duty at the race rushed to his side and stayed with him until the ambulance arrived. To the doctor's surprise, Casey Wagner was practically unharmed. Despite the electricity traveling through his body from his right leg to his left arm, he only suffered muscle pain, shortness of breath, tremors, and tingling in his limbs. This case is truly astonishing. First, the odds of being struck by lightning in the US in a given year are about 1 in 750,000.
That statistic right there is why I don't think he was actually struck by lightning. And there's no way they're actually going to really know unless they have physical or video proof of it. And they wouldn't have video proof within like 20 feet because lightning strike would literally destroy your camera sensor. So, I mean, if it's open and you're trying to take a picture, if your camera's off, it's not going to matter. But if your camera's on and it's lightning strikes near you, you're gonna have a camera issue. Like, your camera is not gonna take a picture. So the chances of him actually getting struck by lightning, like it says, is 1 in 750,000. So the statistics of that, we have like what, 1.4 billion, I think, or 1.6 billion in the United States. So that means that like the statistics of actually him getting hit are so unlikely that it probably didn't happen, and he's probably just feeling the shock from around where it hit.
Yet Casey got hit twice in a row. Second, the average lightning bolt carries around 300 million volts, while a standard outlet has a maximum of 240 volts. Each year, 400 people worldwide get electrocuted at home, and half of them lose their lives. So, what are the chances of surviving a double lightning strike? I'd say about the same as surviving a fall from nearly a kilometer high. On January 25th, Joe and Mackenzie Wethington arrived in Chickasha, Oklahoma. This was a special day for them because Mackenzie was celebrating her 16th birthday, and her dad had arranged to fulfill her wildest dream, a parachute jump. Joe gave written consent and planned to jump with Mackenzie. The Wethingtons planned to perform a static line jump, which means the parachute opens automatically. Before taking to the skies, they had to undergo a 7-hour training session. Only when the instructors were sure that Joe and Mackenzie had learned all the safety rules were they cleared for the jump. Excited and a bit nervous, Joe and Mackenzie took a selfie and then boarded the plane. Joe jumped first so he could watch his daughter make her dream come true. When Joe was already on the ground, the plane reached just over 900 meters and Mackenzie jumped. However, Joe's joy quickly turned to...
So that's only like half a mile high. That's like 500 feet. That's actually like literally 300 feet off of half a mile. A mile is 5,280 feet. So what fun is it jumping half a mile off the ground? You're going to pull your chute in 15 seconds of falling. I mean, if you think about it, if you're falling at like 180 miles per hour, all right, and you're going half a mile, how long would that take you to hit the ground? Not very long. Not very long. You're going half a mile and you're going 100. Just put it this way. if you're falling half a mile and you're going 60 miles an hour, it's going to take you 2 minutes to fall. Future Caleb here. My math is absolutely atrocious. If you're falling at 60 miles per hour and you're falling half a mile, it takes actually about 30 seconds. Because if you're going 60 miles an hour times 60 seconds, that's your 1 mile right there. So it takes you 1 minute per mile at 60 miles per hour. So to fall half a mile at 60 miles per hour, it would be 30 seconds. So yeah, my math was awful. Anyway, back to the vid. Oh, I'm gonna fall for 30 seconds and then pull my chute.
And Mackenzie jumped. However, Joe's joy quickly turned to horror as he saw something was wrong. Mackenzie's parachute opened, but then spiraled out of control. Her descent sped up, and Joe could only watch helplessly as his daughter plummeted toward the ground. Medical personnel rushed to Mackenzie and were astonished to find that she was still breathing. She was rushed to the hospital, where they discovered multiple broken ribs, a fractured shoulder blade, a lumbar spine fracture, a pelvic fracture, and severe liver damage. The doctor's prognosis was grim.
That liver damage is caused by the compression of the liver when she fell. Her body probably compressed from the thing. That'll cause the bone breakage, but that'll probably also cause the issue with her liver. It's because the liver was compressed and it caused liver failure. So yeah.
They didn't expect her to survive. However, Mackenzie became a medical miracle, not only surviving, but also bravely undergoing rehabilitation. She became a local hero, inspiring people with her incredible story. If you think it couldn't get more unbelievable, let me tell you about the story of a flight attendant, Vesna Volovic, mentioned at the very beginning of this video. In 1972, Vesna Volovic worked for Yugoslavia's national airline. On January 26th, Flight 367 took off from Stockholm to Belgrade, now the capital of Serbia. During a stopover, a backup crew, including Vesna, boarded the plane. Due to an airline error, she was on this flight instead of her scheduled one. So, Flight 367, with Volovic on board, took off from Denmark, but never reached its next stop. 46 minutes after takeoff, the plane exploded over what was then Czechoslovakia. 27 passengers and crew were ejected from the cabin at an altitude of 10,000 meters, almost instantly perishing from lack of oxygen and temperatures plunging to minus 50 degrees Celsius.
If we do the math properly here, that's about 6 miles high. That's about 6 miles high. 5,280 feet, so let's just say 5,000 feet. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And then the other stuff will probably add up to the other 3 feet. So that's about 6 miles. So yeah.
However, Vesna Volovic was pinned by a food cart in the tail section of the fuselage, which plummeted to the ground at breakneck speed. What happened next seems utterly unreal. The piece of the plane with Vesna crashed into a forested area where the trees helped slow the fall. Deep snow further cushioned the impact, and the fuselage landed at an angle that left Vesna on the surface. The plane was reduced to wreckage, and among the debris, a local villager found Vesna alive. And that's not all. The villager was a former army medic who provided her with critical first aid. Had any detail been different, Vesna likely would not have survived. Indeed, her condition was dire. Volovic had a fractured skull, several broken ribs, 3 broken vertebrae, a broken pelvis, and both legs were shattered. She was paralyzed from the waist down and spent the next 27 days in a coma. Yet, against all odds, she regained consciousness. After 16 months in the hospital and extensive rehabilitation, she could walk again. Vesna became a global sensation, earning a place in the Guinness World Records for the highest fall survived without a parachute. It's worth noting that
That is the most unsensitive thing I've ever heard. We got a world record for fall while staying alive. Like, that's so rude in my opinion. Like, if I fell from there, I wouldn't want a world record for it.
The explosion on Flight 367 was caused by a bomb. So Vesna Volovic also survived a terrorist attack. Encountering such situations is extraordinarily rare, but surviving them is a true miracle. I was amazed to find that miracles happen often enough to create a sequel to this.
All right. So I think that some of this stuff isn't entirely true. I think a lot of these people don't do see this guy's stuff even says welcome to Echoes, we create educational content. But I feel like sometimes logic and just thinking for yourself helps with that. I think that sometimes these people don't do enough research. And I'm not saying that I know it all, but I say that some of this stuff is just common sense, like getting shocked by lightning. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you did like this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more because we're doing these almost daily now. Excuse me. Yeah, it was a great video. Thank you for sending it in. Stump, appreciate it. Anyway, later, dudes.